All right, and also we bring you, say we're now days away, but well, Salone people don't decide. On the 24th of June last month, we went to the polls and we make a decision. We voted for who that we want for be president. We voted for the one that we want for let them go parliament, the one that we for be councillors, mayors, and chairpersons across the country. And the Chief Electoral Commissioner, we double as a National Returning Officer, Mohammed Kenewi Kone, they don't make that announcement following the votes where people then be go and vote in for the different leaders them in the country. And tonight, we want to continue with the decision where Salone don't make, but most importantly, how we go focus on post-elections. What should be the governance structure? What should be the style, and how do we move forward to making Sierra Leone a great nation as we all want Salone to develop? That's not the purpose of tonight's conversation. And so just before I introduce the people that we are get with me inside the studio for help me shape the conversation as to what should be the governance style after elections, politics done. Now for make Salone go before. Make we go back to when the president subscribed to the oath after they be re-elect him as the president of the Republic of Sierra Leone, and listen keenly to his statement. We will come right back.
In the Constitution of the Republic of Sierra Leone,
as by law established, and that I will do right to all manner of people,
and that I will do right to all manner of people,
according to law, without fear or favor,
affection,
or ill will. So help me God.
So help me God. I am extremely humbled and immensely thankful for the trust and confidence you have placed in me with your overwhelming support, securing me and the Sierra Leone People's Party the lead to lead for our great nation, Sierra Leone, for another 5 years. With this, a second-term mandate, you have proven beyond every reasonable doubt your abiding faith in my capacity to sustain and advance the transformational work that we began in 2018. For this, I must thank Almighty God, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for his abundant mercies and blessings that have brought us thus far. I thank you, dear citizens, for coming out in record numbers to peacefully exercise your constitutional right to elect your leaders, regardless of affiliations. This has been a peaceful electoral process that has produced an incontestable result that truly reflects the will of the people. I thank all our citizens for their abiding belief in our democracy. Today, with the successful conduct of 2023 multi-tier elections, Sierra Leone stands tall among young democracies for our efforts in consolidating our gains, democratic gains. Peaceful conduct of successive democratic elections has become our national ethos, giving our country the highest accolade in the League of Stable Democracies worldwide. The focus of my next government shall be food security, consolidating gains in human capital development, creating jobs for the youth, revamping the public service, and developing technology and infrastructure. With the election results, your voices have been heard loud and clear. And I promise to commence the process of bringing together our progressive forces, including political party leaders, civil society organizations, religious and traditional leaders, to forge a common front to move our country forward. Fellow citizens, our paths and lives are intertwined. We must never allow politics to tear us apart. It is within our right to hold different political views and persuasions. But now that the elections are over, we must reunite in pursuit of a common goal.
Now, the President Julius Maada Bio, after we subscribed to the oath for the second time as President of the Republic of Sierra Leone, making that statement, calling on all Sierra Leoneans and every other political party for join them and develop this country. And like I mentioned earlier tonight, we want to look at what should be the focus after elections. We're not done with elections. We're not done with politics. How do we move forward in unity, in cohesion, and develop this country? So in the studio, I have with me Rashid Dumbuya, when a lawyer, and he also double as the Executive Director for Legal Link. Rashid, good evening and welcome to...
I'm glad for there today. Tell you plenty, thank you.
Right, get Abdul Fatoma. Abdul Fatoma is the Chief Executive Officer for Chadi and also one of the integral people who monitor and observe the elections. Abdul, good evening and welcome to Webin.
Good evening, Sammy, and good evening to the people of Sierra Leone.
Right, I get Mohammed Rahman Swaray. We the Minister of Information and Communications. Good evening and welcome to the show.
Good evening. Good to be here, sir.
All right. So make we start off the conversation. I want to start with you, Rashid. Now we don't go to the polls. On the 24th of June, we have voted for whether we feel can take the development of this country for the next 5 years forward. So according to the announcement from the National Returning Officer, President Julius Maada Bio emerged as the winner for the presidency. He don't announce the mayors, SLPP and the APC then get with SLPP having 81 seats, APC having, I think, about 54 seats. Now, with all of these things and the politicking what we don't do in the last 1 year, where are we at this point?
That's a very nice question. I'm glad today the YV, as usual, invite me for giving me your own perspective, and I'm happy for share the platform with the Honorable Minister. Am I here to say Honorable Minister? Yes, stay somewhere. Yes, I am right. Yes. Of course, the border civil society activist here for Fatoma. Yes, important for we begin the discussion right now. And also don't come up from a tight moment, a very tense moment, and people are still not happy with many things. But the important law getting kind of conversion right now, so that at the very least we move forward with the progress of the nation, because now the important thing right now. So in context, we say Leone at a crossroads. That is something we have to be very clear about, and it's important how they interface now for let we get them up and running.
Right.
There are many things that don't happen, and some not pleased with waiting at the outcome, and also regarding the general elections itself. We have observed the elections. No doubt there were challenges in respect to some things, particularly in the area of the counting and the tallying. And we get with pushing and we will make clearly to ECSL as an area of recommendation, because we are a valued partner. We believe there is a need for transparency in the process going forward. And for now, the truth is this: the president has been pronounced by ECSL.
Yeah.
So if there's any problem by anybody with that, there is a process to dealing with that. That is something we have to also make very clear. All right. So and we constitution also now make them easier for even acknowledging that now, because the constitution automatic basically way they pronounce you can even do it on the very day or the next day. All right, for swearing you in.
Yeah.
In some countries there have been some changes. So all here now for the open with eyes. I mean, I'm glad we call it today for look at perhaps what to recommend going forward. In some countries now, they don't refuse for take that kind of position. Kenya decided for saying no, we don't want this kind of automatic. We want like a 1 month. We say nobody able to declare you. Okay, then they pronounce you, but you need to take this throne until challenges are settled in the courts. So perhaps these are all the things we can be discussing, because some people still feel aggrieved.
Right.
But then it has been locked in some way, because the swearing ceremony don't take place, and the president is duly serving his presidency from the day is sworn in. So these are the context. So at the moment, I would like for really also see perhaps an APC person here, going forward, so that at the very least they also make them position very clear.
Right.
And then let we see how we will be getting inroads regarding discussion and putting down all the tensions and looking at the way forward as to how we go dealing with this issue in a much more practical way. We're not widening the gap and polarize the country further and perhaps lead to chaos and anarchy. So I'm glad for that. There's an opening statement. This is welcoming. These are the kind of the discussion we should be having going forward so that we can now provide solutions on how we're dealing with this crisis issue going forward.
All right. Abdul, as a way of getting opening statement from you, with all the things we don't happen, and you still get the major party rejecting the results being announced and calling and still continue for call on the resignation of the entire commissioners of the ECSL. Where are we?
Like Rashid said, when AYV contact me for there today, I asked, are we going to have the SLPP and the APC? Because it's very much important. I mean, this conversation, they go through the heart of citizens.
Right.
And some of them, this conversation is a sign of relief for them. When you read the APC press release, this very last one, it's not that much different, from the one where then be issued ahead of election. And to be sincere, I mean, APC, they look fake things not really serious.
In what sense?
In what sense is this? Making a reasonable request, and when you clearly know, say, these are unreasonable and these are not achievable, and you are a serious political party, you don't govern this country, and you are an alternative, you were an alternative before election. And clearly, APC as a political body, by law, of this country, for run election, is the Electoral Commission. And for let APC suggest that, say, first, before the election, international expert, which is another vague one. I mean, then, after the election, they want an independent body to run an election. Come on, that's unreasonable. There's no reasonability excusing that. We cannot, as a country, collectively. And then moving forward, you also get the issue of that, you know what you're proposing, or you're proposing already. You're proposing an interim government. And also you get an interim government is directly a suspension of a constitution. And then that destabilizes this country economy more and more. It gives nobody faith in the next 6 months. If you want to try the test, the bitter test of interim government, just try Guinea. Just try Guinea as an interim government system. So, I mean, this is Sierra Leone. The election about national politics. APC is a recognized political party. And APC get a stake in this country because they have access to Sierra Leonean resources like any other political party, including that of the SLPP. But when political parties and politicians start making unreasonable requests, then it poses a lot of questioning. So, I mean, this also be my intro where I want for really get into because my intro word is as from your introduction of the program. As a country, now we don't know politics, the harsh politics. Now we form march towards rebuilding of Sierra Leone. We will get several social issues, including economic and political issues, ahead of the elections and at the midst of the elections. Now, what we want as a country, we want a government where they give a clear directory of economic policy, where they start from the bottom, middle, man empowerment, meaning, how we will get an economic policy, we will fight poverty, we will elevate poverty. Then we want to get a government where go treat the people of this country, say they are citizens. They don't need to feel like they are second-class citizens, meaning an inclusive, system. We need a government where, put structures in place for ensure that, say, state actors and non-state actors respect the rule of law and respect the human rights of citizens of this country. But if we fail to get them one they are, then key things there we don't call. So directly, if they do building, you get for hire mercenaries. So then when they go get, but then it give a facelift to that community or to the country. You also look into energy. You pour money into energy. The more energy generates, businesses then will therefore spend much money on diesel. So now we go able for actually invest into another thing. That money will be they buy how many drums of diesel. You can now able for hire another staff. So with this, we're able to create, employment opportunity for we people then. So I believe that the people of Sierra Leone, nothing kind of a government and they want to see. We don't want to see a government also a line drawn between the people and the one the way they govern.
All right. Mr. Minister, your party now win the presidency.
Yep.
And appear also for win majority of the seats in parliament. And even the councils, the party gets majority of the councils as pronounced by the Chief Electoral Commissioner. So that they automatically don't place the SLPP at a vantage point for the governance of this country with all other political parties and other political players. First off, what did this bring to the APC, to the SLPP as a party, and what did this could mean for an inclusive governance style?
Well, so this now critical milestone achievements for the SLPP. So I want to start off with congratulating His Excellency for pulling off the elections, on the first ballot, and for congratulate all the people there. Elections, so they want, largely, then they don't continue for they don't serve. So what we expect at this stage, like His Excellency been talk, we now expect every Sierra Leonean for join the government, for build the country, for achieve the president's vision, because we not already lay out a vision for a united, peaceful, and progressive Sierra Leone. We all man, whether you know north, south, across regional, across party lines, they able realize their fullest potentials. As in that's the goal we don't set ourselves. Already, His Excellency don't set the tone for this discourse. So somebody they say we are removing the gloves, because we'll be there and be huge contestation. You say, me say, then say.
Right.
But today, with the squarely face the task of nation building, His Excellency don't set that tone. They don't call on all Sierra Leoneans there. When the progressives, they all want this country better one. For country and law build a country for we serve and for we begin the next generation. Particularly, they don't reach out to embroider Dr. Samora Kamara. He said, look, we can work for this country. They realize the fact, say, we're not going to elections. This is not a democracy. All man can choose a own path to making Sierra Leone great again. Greater than where we are. So some then go APC, some then go SL, things and they will unite this country than the one they will separate with. When you talk about joblessness, it's a Sierra Leonean problem. When you talk about access to social services, it's a Sierra Leonean problem. When you talk about challenges with the economy, it's a Sierra Leonean problem. Everybody across party, across ethno-regional, across whatever lines, now the same challenges we face. So, in effect, we are one nation, one people, one country, one people, one destiny. So the president, they enjoy all for local work together. Lord forget about what happened yesterday, because in the event Dr. Samora Kamara had.
And the problems now we all as Salon people get up. So when Salon better, now we all go better. But how then do we move beyond the words? Because for plenty, the politicians think you always make these calls that, yes, we want peace. And they call on you, Rashid Doumbouya, you then at the other side, but now politics don't done. Elections are done with. Come, let us work. Does it stop at that call? Or are there strategies to ensure that we are able to heal the political divide and bring everybody on board? I know the opposition, with statements, you go to the tweet of Dr. Samra, for example, in Facebook page, there are statements out there, him rejecting and how unfortunate, how there are plans. All the actions have helped to kill or derail the growth in democracy as a nation. But then how do we move? Since the SLPP now appears to be the bigger man in the room and gets the bigger responsibility for reconcile this country with the power now. So how do we move beyond that?
Okay, so first off, I still want for just continue from Musa.
Go ahead.
We don't already begin the journey. All fairness to this government. By the way, this conversation today, myself for don't like the APC there, because they are not here. I'm here as the extant Minister of Information and Communications within our government, and most of them now are talking about government attention.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm here.
Yeah.
So if the Minister people come, that will be another matter. So we'll talk about that. One of the things that we will achieve together as a country, we will not celebrate now the women representation in Parliament, right? Even though they inform more than 50% of the population. So this new arrangement, the 30% quota, or the 30% GIWI, where it provide for, I think that's such a great idea. I just get before me, now Bo District, for example, they get 4 women, and the woman they come. Kailao, they get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 women they come. Gambia, they get 2 women they come. Karina, they get 1 woman they come. Kenema, they get 4 women they come. Kwenadugu, they get 1 person. Kono, they get 3 women they come. Mwamba, they get 2 women. Poloko, they get 3 women. This country has never had it, So Pujan, they get 2 women they come in. Tonkolili, they get 3 women. Western Rural, they get 3 women. Western Urban, they get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is something as a country we should celebrate. We should celebrate. The president look into this. He said, look, woman credentials not great, even though now 51% of the population. And, thanks to the multi-party parliament, almost overwhelmingly voted. But that is the vision of a clairvoyant president. So don't get that one day. But because we did this, nobody not seen for to bring this out. I think this should not be lost in the maze. This should not fall between the cracks. It's too important. It's too significant for all not celebrate as a country. Not so, sir. We don't be known for the advocacy. Rashid, don't you think we should shout this on rooftops? I think we should. Since independence. No, you should join. But 2, I think say a very, very important, even in the president's acceptance speech, where they pay tribute to partners there, they single out the Progressive Alliance partners. The NGC, they all work on this vision for make sure say His Excellency win. Let's continue the good work they do for this country. That already is extending a hand of friendship. And when you read, if you read the Progressive Alliance Pact strategy, some of the key things that will be needed, they will be included into various, governance structures. Not so you remember that. So this president had already started reaching out even before elections were held. And it don't manifest, it don't make it demonstrably clear. Say, they call on other progressives across party lines, let them can work. Already, the woman percentage you get for day. And they do talk and do. So I think we are moving. What does this mean for this country? This country has been to hell and back. We had a civil war here, 11 years, all manner of things that happen. We were grown up enough, we see responsible families there. Some then grow up and what could happen? Some people then die in refugee camps, some then grow old day. A whole generation of young people miss out on schooling. So which is why we believe, say, we will stay on the path of jaw, not laying any foundations for post-elections violence.
All right. Rashid.
I don't see in the last couple of, I think that yesterday, my brother then at the APC don't issue this press release. Then they call for boycotting all governance structures. I think that is not good, even for them people, then they will vote for them. You know, see local councils then, now intermediary structures for development to then communities there.
We'll come to look at that, the implication that they will get on the governance structure. Let me quickly first bring in Rashid. The issue of unity, cohesion, and inclusivity in the governance structure. Now the opposition is dissatisfied with the outcome of the elections. And now the ruling party don't win again. But then what should now be the role of both parties for ensure that this country is unity with some of these things where the opposition they call for, and how the ruling party will also create that space so that at the end of the day we look at Sierra Leone and build Sierra Leone?
Yes, so I'll answer that question. The minister invited me small to this PR system. And perhaps in view the apparent positive outcomes. Well, I think it's early for really count to minority parties. We just see both of them two parties there. And for the very first time, if we're not careful, we are going to have a 2/3 majority by one party in parliament. That is scary for democracy. So these are all, so in the talk about women participation, we are going to study that to see when in fact we get the amount they come equal or more than waiting immediately, and perhaps look at also the issue of representation. But the PR system clearly don't show, say, it's not a fit purpose for Sierra Leone. And I think, say, we have to debate this generally. Rahman say no to this Sierra Leone wants, because we don't want the party, parties there, we have just two parties there, no more, they won a parliament. We had 4 or so the last time, and then we had independence under the simple, post-past the post-major, system. So, Mr. Minister, I would like to have an opportunity to talk on this, together with you on the debate and the pros and the cons. But so far, I think waiting on show clearly say, since this is not really right for Sierra Leone, not good for Sierra Leone. No one just APC and SLP no more for the parliament. Now, to your question. So the government, no doubt, get a heavy task here for do. And this is something we have to come forthright with and be very, open about. We're not going for downplay them. It's a very big tax. And the tax is not just about us dealing with even, internal issues, but also external issues. There's a whole problem with the international community right now with this government, and they have to face it.
How? What's the problem?
So there are many international actors that provide many, damning reports on the elections, and I'm sure many of them are not even reaching out at the moment. We have to deal with that as well. How do we restore confidence into our governance system, into our institutions, so that we get the credibility, where we forget in the eyes. The US, of course, government, the Commonwealth, the UK, these people all participated in these elections. The Irish government, we all see the joint press statements, they raise concerns on many things, and these are issues also where the government will also try to address, because they are key value partners. We cannot run a state, they will get some kind of, funny situation where they happen with these valued partners where they help we in many aspects. So, me call here as CSO, now for let the government understand, say it's a very Herculean task. It's not about the opposition party, the main opposition party, but also has to do with restoring integrity and also credibility of the state with respect to our valued partners. We're very important. We don't see the press release. Nobody will deny it. Joint press release expressing their concerns, particularly with the transparency of the electionary process. So really, they have expressed attack on the ECSL in its management, particularly in the counting stage, where we said we agreed to in the press release. We know that it was a very beautiful elections, but when they went to the counting and tallying stage, that is where the problem is. And we were making a report. ECSL is a value partner. We work together and we have helped them achieve this in many aspects, because we do a lot of PR education for people to understand this PR system, and they're glad for we in many aspects. But we get a report, and that report today, we can very clearly say they went against the laws of the land.
In what sense?
Okay, for example, there's a law that talks about how we count and how we tally. It's very clear that when you're counting From the polling, you go to the district. From the district, you go to the region. From the region, you come to the headquarters. That's how the law says. So if you jump the district, you are going to have a problem. You have not been compliant with the law. So that is one thing we're going to recommend to them. Because again, the truth is, Samuel, if we're going to have healing, we must go to the underlying causes. We discuss them frankly. We see how that can lead to policy or legal reforms, and then we now patch a way forward. We don't need to hide it. ECSL had no business to count at the regional without first doing same at the district level. The district attorney officers to certify and then move that to the headquarters. That's what the law says. All right, so if you jump that for perhaps reasons of logistics and all of that, it's your kettle of fish. That's not the law. The law did not give you any excuse. All right, you create an excuse. So to us, that's what's the most compelling argument we're saying. You did not follow the due process as required by the Public Elections Act of 2022. So my call here is have an agenda that is truthful and reach out to the opposition and all aggrieved parties. And we can show candor and humility in doing same. You have the power at the moment. You cannot be tense and also put a very strong face, and you want peace. And you want, the same to be shown by the opposition. For example, at this moment, I see no reason why the government, through the president, cannot even reach out to the former president of Sierra Leone. All right? He's key in this. And we'll be bringing out a roadmap on this. For example, we know there were many statements made on him regarding the campaign. So it's time perhaps to get back to the normal, invite that person. He's very key. He has a strong power on his party. I'm saying this with all my heart. I came here to give solutions that are very radical. You may not like it, but I'm telling you, if you test it, you will see the way forward. The first thing the SLP government needs to do, and I'm saying it clearly, you reach out to Ernest Bai Koroma, former president. It will make a lot of difference. Get him on board to now discuss how we could reach his party and make things.
Just quickly, is it also possible that if you're reaching out, the person or the parties you're reaching out to, out?
Yes,
I'm asking this question because if you go back, the APC has always, the SLPP has always come out saying, we have made attempts to even invite the former president to, whether it's been to humanitarian conference, but they did not show up, they boycotted the event. And the APC has always come out saying, no, you've not treated us with respect, the way you approach, or if I not even invite you and all of that. So how do we then first off build that space for trust?
Samuel, we don't know the concept. We cannot.
Right.
I'm going to English now.
Go ahead.
The point I agree with.
Go ahead.
We don't know the counterclaims between the two parties. All right, they always have counterclaims.
Right.
And we as CSOs, we sit in the middle and watch them. But I am saying, if you want peace for prevail, you want your reign for be successful, you want for get winnings, you want for get laurels, and get an inclusive government, I think will take the high bar. The government in power has to take the high bar. That is just how it is. Because now if you get confusion, all anything, now you go and go judge man and say, you will hold the country well. So I'm saying, let it be practical. Nothing stops this government to have to move from Freetown and have a direct, visit to him. It's not a big thing they for do. Say, sir, we have a problem at hand. Your party is raising a lot of things and we don't want this to happen. It's a big party in the country, all right? Can we have a discussion on how we could deal with this going forward? And Bakoma has a big stake in his party, even though it's out at the moment.
Because I was just going to say, it's no longer...
That's the beginning. Then you move to the very flag bearer himself, have a meeting with him at State House. Let's discuss the issue. This is tough, but let's find a way. It should be a very friendly environment. Look at how Kenya dealt with their issue. It was over a breakfast, Sammy. There was a lot of tension. In fact, what happened in Kenya, if it happened in Sierra Leone, we are going to have a devastation. There was a ruling government, and then there was an election. The opposition coronated, the opposition leader coronated himself as the president. In fact, so you see, it's not even happening like this in Sierra Leone. Odinga went forward and said he won the elections and coronated himself as president. He called a lawyer and they declared the oath of office in the eyes of the city president. It was so nasty, excuse me for the language. But then see what the president did. There was no escalation. He could have arrested him for treason. He could have locked him up. Nothing. Eventually, over a breakfast, they united and they became best of friends. He even ended up campaigning for Odinga as against his former vice president. So you see what I'm saying? Dialogue, discussion can get us out of this quagmire. But if we want to keep our lens, everybody making proud and everybody thinking, no, you go get the power and you go beyond more because it's good for your governance, it's good for your system. The president went beyond himself in Kenya to get Odinga settled in. And by the time we know it, Kenya is transformed to and they are enjoying relative peace.
Abdul, so Rashid is saying that the daunting task to unite this country, the ruling party gets a major stake, gets a bigger role for play, but also underscoring the role of the opposition parties and other former politicians for ensuring this country is united. And the unity we all need as a nation for the growth of this country rely on every one of us as a people, as a country for make that works. How do we push through with this if we are to heal the political divide? Because already many people are saying the polarization, where we get through in the last 1 year, don't become so bold, don't become so wide, especially with the outcome of the election. So how do we heal that?
We, as a people, get a power and we get a will. Let that be done. But we sit down to look something we're very dangerous in this country.
Which is?
We talk about, the deep divide.
Right.
We now it be like every month, we get more divided. And over every national issues, we get more deeply divided. And you see when this election come in, a lot of professionals lose their emotions and become very, very unprofessional. Right. And you see clearly the interest in the national conversation, right? And after the election, that exhibits itself. Like you say, when any political party will take over the governance affairs of this country, the statute, the constitution, gain an obligation for ensure that, say, each and every Sierra Leonean, is protected. Each and every Sierra Leonean. And the welfare of the people of this country, also they, that very political party, right. Their hand for ensure that, say, every Sierra Leonean live in a happy and free, fair environment. So now the ruling government need for come up. We already get state institutions like the National Cohesion, the Peace Commission. These are vehicles that we can use as a state for ensure that, we reach. But then this also comes to the professionalism. And we also, over the years, we lack trust and confidence in public institutions in this country, So even for we own health sake, we look at certain government hospital, we say, na fake medicine, if I go there, then we'll go treat me there, I die. So we see that during Ebola, we see that during COVID, that many people turn away from national hospitals. They prefer dying at house than prepare doctor them, before. That's lack of trust. And you see that, say, many people God in people they afraid because by law, the police set up for protect life and property and also investigate crimes, and through the state support and prosecute them crimes. But if you see citizens and they run away from their state institutions away for protect them, then that comes with a service of lack of trust and confidence. You also see, with judicial system, with court system, cases and if you not be motorman, you go down to university, even getting PhD, 33 years. We get cases in this country. We don't sleep in a court for 33 years. We get criminal matters. We have dealt with cases with that. I talk with evidence. I don't, we don't see criminal matters without even starting the trial. Just the matter has been admitted. It don't take over 2 years, A time ago, we put out a report. We list the number of cases, the backlog cases, criminal cases, and civil cases. So these all they build what they call discontent among citizens. So if we actually want to build a roadmap for let we be united and be in that cohesion as a country, we move forward with development. With public service systems, we get for really, if we get the power, let we rewind and back. Let it come to, a clean slate. That clean slate way go able for buying confidence for itself. But we they see that this country, people them way, civil servant, when election time reach, then they wear, political t-shirts, whole vuvuzela. They blow, they butuna treat, they dance. It don't happen APC era, it don't happen inside SLPP era. Even this election we pass, civil servant and they will not actually get no business in politics. I mean, support your party, even this international community what they talk about, then get their own party then. Where then they vote for? Not their country then. So nobody not tell you, say, because you're a civil servant, you're a civil society, you're a media person, you not get right for vote for anybody of your choice. Anybody will tell you that they interfere with your right, but it want fairness to your right. But as civil servant, you need for be neutral. But we lost that cool, way back. Either a fight for job security. Now in the shortage, we don't hire people in public spaces and by merit. We hire them because of loyalty. They are loyal to the North. And, time and time, this has been proven. People in our office, they fed say, now when I didn't power, where we self car, when they come out. Right at the office and they're threatening themselves. So then, you see, it's no longer about me being a civil servant, the one the way they behave so. It's about me protecting my family. Because if I go out of job, me and my family were out of job. So then you see political party where get support from civil servant there, then promote them. They're not actually discipline them, for ethic reasons. So with that, it don't become a culture. So how do we, on culture, this kind of unhealthy, some kind of unfair treatment to the state. How we go get off that? So then we comes to the political party. Like I always say in your last program where you host me, the challenges where we get as a country, we get with politicians in this country, they're actually sincerely, dishonest. They're sincerely dishonest to the people of this country and the membership. So this don't create a problem. Let me tell you now, some APC executive them, if anybody be kaya, rather go laugh now if camera go off. They laugh, make fun. But then the members when they support APC and SLPP, they will nearly take cutlass for themselves in the neighborhood. So, but you hardly see these people. Tell them people say, we all are one in this country. Regardless, we only get a different political ideology in this country. And we objective is different. Because maybe SLPP, they move towards building, a conservative state. And maybe APC, I use the word maybe as not a conclusive statement I'm making on this comment. Maybe APC, they build a social state, wherein they believe, say, the business, the economy open for all businessmen. But then with SLPP, with their bookish business, maybe there's a checks and balances, rules, then where maybe some rogue businessmen and say, well, they want their way they can, they want to pay tax. But then, in another system, we're not going to pay too much tax. So money been the flow. So that ideology, neither for injecting people then. So where we can with the build roads, where we can with the build schools, where we can with the provide more public health, care facilities, where we can women and able to get more space for participate. That should be the actual conversation.
As you say all of these things and blaming the state institutions for responsible for where we are and how reforms can help for shape and create a path of development. And also, Salon people will trust those institutions. It brings me to one of the five big changes that the SLPP proposed in our campaign period, saying you want for revamp a public sector that can deliver on time and effective services to the people of this country. Now, we know for the one that we read political science and get what they refer to as the bureaucratic channels, things where they work in, according to the processes and procedures, but also we get what they refer to as the patronage networks. Also, because Samuel know the Minister of Information, when Samuel wants, he can just call me and say, hey, Mr. Minister, help me not get things like that work perfectly. So, how do we move away from the patronage network so that we're able to get state institutions function well, as proposed by the SLPP inside the manifesto, for ensure, say, at the end of the day, all of us. So if Samuel feels dissatisfied, the court will be there to provide redress if a redress not the court. Justice will be. How do we walk around that?
So I'll just make a few things.
Go ahead.
My brother don't make comments in a way too pertinent for ignore. Pretty pertinent for ignore. Rashid don't talk about the need for deal with the international community.
Right.
Yeah, Sierra Leone in a part of a global village.
That's it.
We cannot shrug off concerns from teams. All consolidated are about 104 or 107, right? We'll not say not to attend and make any recommendations here for bring about electoral reforms. We'll take them fully on board, and we don't fulfill over 70% of their recommendations. We don't see the Commonwealth, we don't see AU, the preliminary statements. Recommendations have been made. Those will be studied, like the previous were inherited, and where actions will be taken, they will be taken. The president talked with the address the nation very recently, with the administered oath of office. Every election, we have improved on the previous one. So that is how we get to the ideal democracy we want, right? So that's not something we shrug off. We have to engage everybody that needs engaging with. So, have of the June 24th elections, and he won it on the first ballot. Important. I hear my brother Rashid come up. Pon is Africa and Kenya. Again, Nigeria, I know the talk. The Nigerian example is staring us in the face. Nigeria, I don't even want to talk about the conduct of the elections. Now the response, the reaction of the players and that they want to focus on. Peter Obi, led a big movement across Nigeria. He changed the course of Nigerian politics, the obedience movement. You remember that? He lost that election. Where did he go? He spoke to, and he got youthful supporters there, all kinds of things. He said, what? We want to build a nation. This country here get law there. They get processes there. They get procedures there. We will go by those. As we talk, by next week, now they wrap up the initial submissions. They are in court now, the elections tribunal. So, if Sierra Leonean leaders choose this is the right path to go. You're a lawyer, and you mentioned that one day, right? I think so we should encourage all to use the provisions in the law. In 2012, His Excellency President Julius Maada Bio, then retired Brigadier Julius Maada Bio, the SLPP candidate in 2012, believed he won those elections. And I share those views with him. Yeah? He was not declared winner. He lost the result. What did we do? We went to court. We did not cripple this country. We did not declare a civil war. Because this is not the only country we get, and his leadership was about building it. So we can't be saying one thing and doing the other. So we want to encourage anybody who gets issues with the outcome of the elections. There are clear provisions for do. Not so. I think that one day important. It's also important for not say, in the last few days, it's been quite a lot of activities, around the presidency with congratulatory for professionalizing the public service. But I also can they as part of the recommendations what Mr. Go talk about.
Which are?
Yeah. So when they talk about an enduring peace, what would they go? They mentioned a very salient stakeholder in the country, the former president of the Republic of Sierra Leone,
right,
Dr. Ernest Bai Kromah. I mean, nobody he saw, he played his part. Fact. So when you get an opportunity where 7.8 million people then give you, that's not something you should take for granted. There's this very country where give that opportunity. Now in Rashid, they say they are crossroads. Now, you know, so in moments like this, you don't wait to be invited. This is not an inauguration. This is not a state party. This is the country that has made you who you are. Huh? If your supporters called you world best, you globe-trotted. You sit down at all kind of committees. Now this country give you that opportunity. If this country in peace and stability threatened, that's what leadership is about. You should stand up and be counted in moments like those. Lord, no begin make and say, oh, you not receive invitation, you know this, that, it. We get a responsibility for keeping this country whole. And more than anybody else should do that. Instead of 10 years, they even did 11 years. They had a 1 year bonus. So that is what leadership is about. It is in moments like this, they say the only valid test of leadership is the ability to lead and to lead vigorously. You know, leadership is counted in times of crisis.
But in the face of the public, for many people, these are people where, I mean, they are the worst of enemies. That is the perception out there. And for many, they flow with that. Like Abdul mentioned earlier, if any APC person there, even before or after the show, we don't see how pally you guys get. Exactly.
Now, you know, the time we go college in Ayaso, now one university, two, yes, you get Jala, FPC, then 2 years. So most of we were the meeting now the same college we go. We are friends.
How do we send that message so that Salone people understand? Say, these guys can disagree on policies, they can disagree on approach, they can disagree on political lines, but when it comes to Salone, then I want people, and they're always on the leave like say then I want people. So how do you send that message out there in the interest of peace?
You only had University of Sierra Leone.
Go ahead. Angela was part of the university. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm growing older now, so you forget.
Go right ahead.
Okay, so I mean, a very important for note say, you know, something they always talk, what on they talk for the last all and challenges. National leaders can learn from that. Did you imagine now one day? So in moments like this, if Umar Yarisa's large get function, you call her, you not call her Kelvin, because it's about something they have played their part to build. So I hope say former President Nkrumah and people that they hear me, this is about Sierra Leone. It's not about SLPP. It's not about President Nkrumah alone. This country here, now don't give an opportunity for lead. Now don't make the world Sabian. Whatever it gets today, they owe to this. They want this country to break up, and they are seated in other countries in the comfort and convenience of Western democracies. You know, the Westerners say that they don't hypocrisy candy. You know, if we want to truly build a country, we invested in this country, let us solve these problems. If you wake up this morning, I don't hear some kind of incitement, and you know go talk yourself because you go be complicit, you go be an accomplice in whatever offense it is. You talk about how do we go on building the public service? You know,
yes.
The brother did not talk about that. His Excellency don't make a commitment. One of the 5 big game changers, in addition to feeding Sierra Leone, in addition to creating 500,000 jobs, in addition to preparing young people for 21st century industrial jobs, they also don't add, you know, the public service. And this is not to word in a mouth. The president were the elector in 2018. One of the first set of people then who he meet with, now Radisson, now being permanent secretaries, they share with them in vision for effective service delivery for in people there. When somebody turn on in water, if we're able to count, when somebody pay in light token, if we're able to get electricity, you know, all the issues in the service delivery. Yeah, somebody want passport, they probably don't need for work up from Mongo or Kailao or Solima for Kante Kanaya. You know, there are issues then they, you know. So yes, the civil service they in need of reforms, and we understand the way it is currently structured. Well, something not to reform in need, now overhaul in need. Yeah, the way it is, you get some bright Sierra Leoneans then, really competent and calm. Then go in an NGO force or some UN agency bring them contract done or they do consultancy. They're not able to enter mainstream civil service. They are gone. You know, or we don't know funding done. We're not able to enjoy that expertise. So what are we talking about? We want to see how we get a public service we're responsive to the needs of all Sierra Leoneans. One, then Salo man and they don't get experience around the world in other places. Probably you want to figure out a way where they can also come in and contribute. But you know they do that no more. You go for agree, you go for organize the incentive package. Currently as it is, they are not one of the most enviable, they are not one of the most enviable category of people then where they receive salaries. The gap, for example, between permanent secretaries and deputy secretaries is so yawning, the disparities. So we get a law will be done passed. Last parliament, I think one of the last law that now then passed in the parliament. We want to address the yawning disparities, the yawning gap between pay and performance, between people that are doing similar or same jobs, but then get differences in pay gaps across government. So that bill they would not enact, we'll look after that. You understand? We also want for him to give people a clear career path where we could be properly managed, professionally managed, clear succession planning, all instantly, so that we will get the best and the brightest Sierra Leoneans who come in and join government for deliver public services. So that issues around confidence, if you come in there because you're one of the smartest and brightest, you get experience, you qualify, you will know you are qualified, you don't come here on party card basis, on patronage basis, or because you were the loudest, you shouted the loudest, Madam you, Madam you, or that kind of thing. So that's the vision we want to cap. And His Excellency is very passionate about this. As far as it concerns government for able to deliver services effectively to people there. And I tell you, some of them will not begin.
All right.
In the main ministry, for example, the Ministry of Information, we don't get a $50 million grant for digital transformation. Part of that funding, it go towards digital skills development of not only young people there, but also marginalized groups, people living with disabilities, women, and this and that. The other bit has to do with, many things. They want to support government for able to deliver government services digitally. For example, how you go come home and go for country passport now? Right? Another thing they want to look into. Or your national ID card. We have resources to do that. So this president is ready to hit the ground running. All right. I've always assured you. He's not beginning to think about this, that.
All right. Rashid, I know you got a few things you want to also respond to, but just before you respond to those things, laying the tracks at this point now, moving beyond elections and developing Sierra Leone. A legitimate government has been declared by the competent authority, and we've seen already work has started with appointments. Well, the reappointment of. So how then now as a nation, the government gave us 5 big game changers that it feels can actually change the narrative of this country, can fulfill Salon, one for take that extreme hunger out of the country, one for create about 500,000 jobs for us young people in this country, one for revamp the public sector, continued investment in the capital, human capital development, and also see how agriculture can play a key role in all of these. Now, what should be the next step in achieving all of these and making Sierra Leone great?
Yes, so I get a couple of things away and advise your opinion for the government.
Go ahead.
And perhaps my emphasis will be not the time for listening to mild voices, as a government. And I hope the president is listening. It's not time to listen to mild voices. People who can just tell you things that just makes you smile. You need to listen to people who give you tough advice at this moment, because it's about the nation, it's about your last term. There are many things that needs to change, all right? So that at the very least, you say go left and sit down and gladly for yourself when you look back and be proud of what you do for the nation. So me, as a human rights expert and as somebody we don't also serve in this, in many places, internationally and locally, regionally, I say, it will be an improvement for you, government. See, so it's you that must rise up. So, the honorable minister talking about by Koma coming. Yes, naturally, not stop about come. But in a certain side already, there is a polarization, there is a lot of tension, even in the campaigning. So many remarks were made against this person. Important for making you show, all right, as the government, the that humility for saying we recognize your importance as a stakeholder in helping us move as a nation in an inclusive way. That look at me. If they do that, then and if I want to make proud and not be a part, it's dents him and his party for life. We will see it. So when you push and be the first person, trust me, you get a lot of high grounds. You're not doing it as saying don't kill your pride. No, it's you're making yourself to everybody that indeed you are willing and you're ready for this. And if there's an obstacle, you get the praises. That's how we should say it. It's not a minus to you. All right. And as a government, the obligation, I will repeat it again, as a human rights expert, the obligation to protect, respect, fulfill, and promote rests upon the state. Not any other person, the state. So that's important. And also reach to the opposition. You need to call the opposition to a state kind of meeting. It's important for sure that level of engagement there at this time. This to and fro, media, blasting, counterclaims, and press releases is not the decent way. And we are on records, Mr. Minister, that we are the first CSO that advised when it was so tense, everybody was afraid to talk. I pray all the time before I talk.
Everybody was afraid to talk.
Well, in a way,
you speak, but don't conclude for other people. I mean, that is.
It's my turn. It's my turn.
No.
Go ahead.
It's my turn.
Go ahead.
You have your bite, sir. You have your bite.
Go ahead.
I think we are on record to be the first CSO. All right, let me put it that way. The first CSO to make my mother perhaps not be jittery about my statement.
Not jittery.
Go ahead.
Not jittery is not good.
That advised in the moment of tensions in the country that we have to seek the legal process in resolving electoral disputes. All right, so our position is clear on that. As a rule of law person, that's sacrosanct. But then there are things also that the government must do in terms of strategic appointment and inclusions. So this is important. See, you may not like me, but down the line, I vehemently criticize the PR system. Today, I've been proven right.
How have you been proven right?
Because we don't have, in the first place, no minority parties are not there. Secondly, we don't have any independent. Thirdly, today, for the very first time, we may have a party that has close to a 2/3 majority in parliament. That is not good for a democratic. Mr. Minister, let me just finish. All right, you come to have your bite. So I'm saying it again. That the government needs to open up inclusions, cabinet appointment, very strategic, inclusive governance. That will help going forward. The issue of respect for human rights has been one of the downsides of this government. So I'm on record to have said that this government excelled in legal and policy reforms than any government since independence. And I'll say it again. But on the flip side, it also had a lot of negativities regarding respect for human rights. There are many cases of extrajudicial killings that have not been investigated. It's time to perhaps look at these things and investigate them and bring to book those who are guilty of such acts. Then, of course, open the space for criticisms. The minister talking about the issue of diaspora's involvement. Okay, this is very key. I'm happy he's here today as the Minister of Information. To me, I take the blame solely as a CSO rep. CSOs I blame CSOs for this, and I'm also blaming also the government for this.
Why is that?
Because, Samuel, CSOs, we failed the people of Sierra Leone in standing up when it was necessary to many of these evils that happened in the first term of His Excellency. There are many things that happened. Many of us were not speaking out. And so what happened? We allowed voices out there in the diaspora who perhaps are not really tamed to take the show and deal with the issues. Secondly, when you suppress internal dissent.
So you're blaming the incitement,
CSOs first.
That we don't go on another cause problem on CSOs because on another occupy the space one be supposed to occupy.
Yeah, so Samuel, when CSOs keep quiet over issues that are pertinent and could not talk, people out there will come in and talk. We will not like what they are saying. But what are we doing internally to also rise up and speak the truth in a more decent way? We fail people of Sierra Leone. They will not like it. I will tell them. Anywhere I see them, I will tell them that we failed. Even me, I will put myself there. So I'm not an exception. Secondly, the government also suppressed a lot of internal voices.
How?
Now, I'll give it. In fact, this one example that happened recently. New gave projections as they did in 2018. What is the big deal about this? In 2018, this government on record to have saluted New when they were in opposition and embraced her findings to say there must be a runoff. She did the same again this election. It is not something that we should be very nasty on her to a point where she's even refused at some point to even travel, except the intervention of some player out there. So this suppression of right activists will inadvertently create room for other people to steal the show. Because they are now intimidated. When they talk, they are arrested. And so what happens? They now go silent. And then other voices out there in the diaspora takes the show and become very
So
nasty.
how do we change all of those dynamics?
So
how do we lay the tracks?
Recommendation. The government must open the space. Allow CSOs to do their work. All right? Protect them. Embrace criticisms, dissenting voices. You may not like them. Even from the opposition, you may not like what they're saying. But democracy is about also accepting someone's view. All right? Even if you may not like it. To now know that indeed you value their opinion despite their differences. So we have to open that space. The police must be used to suppress rights. All right? We all know what the police has been doing. Today, there are many killings that are still not investigated. So we are saying, let's work towards a brand new approach. A change of approach will happen if we change, a change of results will happen if we change our approach. Our approach needs to change if we want to see a change of results. That's what I'm saying. We cannot do things the same way we did in our first term and expect a different outcome. We have to do a radical change. It will mean looking internally, embracing all and inclusive government, making sure we respect human rights, we open the space for criticism, CSOs, to be empowered. For example, we don't even have a law that protects our rights. There's no rights defenders law in Sierra Leone. We have to have that. So we can speak up and don't be afraid. So I'm coming here, people are saying, I said, me, I pray and I go and I speak my heart. You want to kill me? Go ahead. But God, who knows what I'm doing that is true, will protect me. So this is the thing. The fear is so much in the heart of people. If you are a CSO and you don't see that, it's a shame on you. We all know there's so much fear going on. And we have to people should not be able to speak.
What's the effects? If that is anything to go by, what's the effects of that fear the way they talk on the peace?
Yes, so that's the point. So when we have a situation where people are afraid, they're not genuine. And they can be saying one thing and be planning something else. You cannot get the genuineness of them. So creating an enabling environment for people to express themselves, without anyone hitting them or arresting them or telling them off, is important for them to bring genuine commendations to the process.
All right.
Today we are happy about Sengamara and the way the police handled the whole electoral process on vehicular movement. But he was damned when he was bringing that case to the Supreme Court. But thankfully today it helped to make our democracy unique. So that's what I'm saying.
All right.
Embrace CSOs, create the platform, and ensure that when we rise up, we silence evil voices out there without even making any extra input. But when we are silenced, the evil voices will take up the fight and they will become very sinister. So let's work internally to deal with these issues and make a prosperous Sierra Leone.
Quickly, Fatoma, let me hear from you.
The word quickly really damn here. I have several issues.
Go ahead.
One thing first, on record, I'm not here really for us to have a civil society exchange, but I'm just here to, clarify some issues that, will not be clear by my good friend Rashid. Maybe in your organization and maybe others be silenced, but we challenge key institutions, and through these 5 years, sometimes the Minister Rado Sidoya, we don't come and find a studio, either na AYVR or 98.1, right? We challenge the military in this country on human rights issues, gender-based violence, corruption. The military, we challenge the judiciary. The other time, even when we meet, they congratulate me. What we call justice under lockdown during COVID. We challenge the government on the Panemba Road issues. The report slowing to come out. We, organization, challenge the government of Sierra Leone. We also challenge the government of Sierra Leone about the incident, the generator incident at McKinney, where citizens have lost their life. And also with that, UNDP will be involved in the dialogue again for rebuild then issues them. We don't challenge the government of Sierra Leone, this administration, the previous administration. We also challenge the government of Sierra Leone. By then, not all civil society now be comfortable with that. They were even chasing me studio to studio to say me na SLPP, for say me na SLPP, right? So, but if you not do something, apologize for yourself. But not say you not do something.
So you have not failed?
No, we not failed.
As a CSO, I mean,
we have been speaking.
Go ahead.
No,
continue.
we have been speaking and condemning.
Continue. Let's go to the issue.
Tell me what you not condemn. No, I mean, I'm your time. This against meeting.
Like you said, no, left the conversation to CSO fights.
No, this is unfair.
Abdul, like you say, no, move the conversation to CSO fight. I know. No, move the conversation to CSO fight. But what can be done? How do we lay the tracks? It's important. Elections don't done, but there are tensions all over the place. Acceptance, rejecting elections results, but then Sierra Leone has to move beyond politics. How should we lay the tracks?
Well, when you currently look at the atmosphere, like already, Sierra Leoneans don't get suffocated with the politics. It'd be very toxic.
Right.
And you see that, say, election done, people become quiet, results come out, presidential, you don't see that much jubilations across the country. Parliamentary, mayoral, come out. You don't see much jubilation, silence. So, what the people of this country want now, a pathway where a Sierra Leonean will believe, say, I then as Sierra Leone, me as Sierra Leonean, I can access any public facility without anybody not look me, say, now that party there they support or now that party there belongs to. That the space for open for everybody and every Sierra Leonean need for enjoy, the national resources. If we give scholarship, we give scholarship by merit. If we hire people in our government places, we hire them by merit, not by how much you dance for this political party, or if you come, you go sabotage this political party. But the issue is that when we get state institutions, we for protect the people them, we for ensure that, say, as a country, then state institutions and they get the right resources so that they go able for discharge their mandate. But you're gonna plenty of them state institutions there, the lack of resources. So like Rado recently say, you're not able for attract bright minds, for Canada side, and they become money, for actually do the work. Now you look at the police complaint boards. Like, immediately after the elections, where violence been go on, attack on APC, we put out a statement condemning the violence and calling on the Independent Complaint Police Board for investigate any police officer where act outside of a mandate or where brutally manhandle any citizen at this country. Right? So we able to get institutions and then the Human Rights Commission, the Legal Aid Board, all of the institutions there for function independently. Now, that doesn't make them, we regard them as democratic institutions. Like he say, we as a civil society or a media person, we are constantly under threat by the people of this country, including politicians. The moment you sit there and understand me, you say anything where not favorable to one political party possibly, they watch you online or get in television, they watch you. Either a cursory where record no side or a go on Facebook, a cursory. A call with all kind of names.
Right.
So we are under constant threat for our views. So like working in this country is really, really tense environment for any civil society person and any, media person.
What should be now, the integral role with, for example, institution like the Peace and National Cohesion for play, for make we ensure, say, there are concerns, and I was told by one professor, conflict at any level are ever present in society. But there must be that will for solve those conflicts, for solve the issues, and we come together. So, First off, it's going to be a difficult one we must accept as a nation. But then what should be the role now? That pivotal role of the Commission for Peace in all of this?
Enough for be a strange something, because we see the Peace Commission be organized a joint meeting within themselves and PPRC,
right?
And within APC and ECSL. So with that, maybe attend that meeting. APC also put a matter there on the table. Their actions been, they say they don't want for participate, during the election. Then participate. Then also during the APC internal issues, we will see the Peace Commission be very much active. They've been a part of the committee where, for the reconciliation. So then it also comes back, the institutions we build, do we have trust in them? Do we have confidence in them? So now they can take the lead for see how best we can able, forget the aggrieved, political parties and also independent candidates. Well, mind you, the elections, everybody get in your stance, get in your opinion. If you ask an independent candidate, their opinion might be views and political party. You get some other political party. I mean, may not be pro PR person, but then, when PR can this way, it now push we like to the US and the UK, we'll get still the two leading political parties. It doesn't mean that there is no participation. There is a participation, space not be blocked. Even that, me advocate, if we're going to have a PR, we must have an independent. During 2002, we'll not be getting independent. So we organization be advocate strongly that if independent candidate don't participate, meaning it kill the participation spirit in democracy. So during ECSL regulations, they create room for independent candidates. These are gains, where with democracy they make slowly. But then again, we now as a country, we actually need for start the healing at community level. Because if we continue with this kind of situation, the Sierra Leone will be dreamed 20 years, 15 years, 10 years back. It's not the Sierra Leone we're going to see in the next 5 years. So we need to come together as a country and build this country. If police do bad, I mean, get the mind for call out police doing bad. And when people seek justice, the court for treat them fairly according to the law, right? But they not go, if you begin to treat certain people and say, no, we're not an APC supporter, we're not going to get a preferential treatment, no, we're not an NGC supporter, we're not going to get a preferential treatment, then we continue for deepening, the discontentment. So already, the poverty is a huge challenge. We make Saloma not happy because the poverty very deep. We not bring any happiness than any host. Pass also way, they can say you pot the boil. But you see, a full-grown adult gets 6 bikini, they get other dependent, and they go home with barely 1 million leones. And how many people at this time will survive on that 1 million leon? So when I start first with the economy, when we actually develop an economy, the economic policy, if we look into economic policy the way they start from the bottom to the middle, let we build that middle class economy so that the least man will able to go home and be a happy man, with his family.
All right. Just quickly before we bring in the people who are on the follow we on Facebook, their views into the conversation, I'll ask the minister this question. It's no secret how we've been practicing our political system in this country. At the regional level, we know how polarized we are. But now, with that commitment of President Bill, when it is subscribed for the second time to the oath as President of the Republic, what are the steps if we're actually to get things right in unifying this country? Because he can never succeed building this country amidst division.
Well, so, the president don't already begin the work. Even though paramount chiefs they wouldn't come from across the country, even though Muslim leaders wouldn't come from across the country, including sections, chiefdoms, and everywhere across the country, even though tribal headmen from the west, headmen or headwomen from the western area, now congratulate and can't congratulate them, they go straight into action. After I don't accept a it tell and say, because of the closeness to the citizens, you know, a preach peace to them, and tell and say, therefore take the message, say, the election don't come and go, we now for continue for live as one country, one people, and a shared destiny, right? They don't make that one very clear. Because for less service delivery happen, you need peace and security. For let able to create jobs for the young people, you know, we need for get peace, for let an investor choose your country over another country.
Right.
His Excellency has worked very hard. They don't make Sierra Leone an attractive investment destination already. Now at the peak of COVID, we'll get the brand new airports we'll get today. Through a PPP agreement, government not spend 1 cent. That is a massive, confidence we then get in the system. We need for continue and for continue. You know, just a few days to the elections, a visit about 7 factories where they don't come up, where they do various, where they into, you know, some medium, scale in manufacturing. This one they are the create jobs for people there, but also they make some of them goods and all the imports, will they get in our market now. It's going to definitely have implications for the prices. Yeah, so things are happening. We are moving. Talk about the space constraining the space. I mean, this is so unfair. This is so unfair to His Excellency. If there's anything he's done very well after human capital development, now creating the space, deepening it, broadening it, so that Sierra Leoneans will freely express themselves and participate. Look, for example, the elections. 2018, what will be the struggle with? Now, tenure elongation. After me, civil society had to mobilize, the international community had to get involved for law get election date. His Excellency announced the twin dates there for local council, the dates for local council and parliamentary elections, in March last year. So it means all parties didn't get over a year for organize. They're not spring any surprise by anybody. ECSL announced presidential. So, I mean, this cannot be said to be a man with a constrained space. He wanted everybody to have a fair chance for campaign, for put their message together and all of that. I mean, because people have been getting internal challenges, no means that they don't have space. Again, we'll left for that one day. The media, now this president now on Shakwa, will get the albatross running there, the draconian 1965 Public Order Act Part 5. Now this president can remove her. No journalist not in a jail on account of the practice of the profession. No political prisoner not in a jail. You cannot charge a man like that with constraining the democratic space, right? And no civil society not responsibly, where in the Rashid are one of the people that they criticize the most, and we value that. When we wanted to enact the cybersecurity and crime bill, for example, you made a lot of things. 12 waiting.
22 position statements you need to know.
Yes, yeah. You did all of that. Sometimes you also did not have all the facts, but we sat, you and I agreed, we moved on. This is the country we want to build. You cannot say that kind of country, no, not the waiting. Talk about human rights. His Excellency has always regretted the loss of any Sierra Leonean life. Where they go swear, where they go sign in ECSL documents as candidate, where they go nominator. They say no Sierra Leonean politician ambition for work abroad of any Sierra Leonean. They ain't talking for himself. So, when we talk about human rights, in a one person, he has to be commended, right? Where, for example, I know when they see somebody they talk about the root causes, people then the faceless firebrands, where they incite young people, for example, na Makeni, government goes to take a generator. One of the activists there. These boys, these unsuspecting young men and women were led, they were incited, they were applauded on for letting them go there in conflict with the law. And we regret them definitely. But let we, then can talk if they tell the dog, now also for tell the bone. Government, he said, don't talk, now ain't get the responsibility for maintain law and order in the state. Right? All of them conflicts there, how we talk. People that know the stalker, how we know them. I mean, for example, after August 10 years and, Special Investigation Committee reports, people were named and shamed as a country. So we have been to hell and back. Things have happened. His Excellency say, Lord, move forward.
Okay.
Yeah?
All
so,
right. Let's
done this.
Quickly, please.
Yeah?
Go ahead.
So, what did Rashid talk? I don't see say justify the emergence of diaspora people, the ill-motivated diasporians, would they threaten this country, would they stoke tension, would they ask for war, and instability. Because, I mean, everybody they talk, nobody don't talk. Anything what they don't go arrest her for because you talk. I have seen campaigns, we don't hear incitement, we don't hear all kinds of things. You cannot say this country not get space for people to talk. I think that's a mischaracterization of His Excellency and this government. Talk about even the cohesion. Would are more interested in national cohesion, Pastor? Apart from the fact, say, na MNC some good in Dr. Samora Kamara, we appointed in 1996 as Minister of Finance. Somebody will not care about cohesion, and Dr. John Karim will pull his tribesman rather, for bringing her in. So that means that man, where they look at Sierra Leone, they look for the best guys in an opinion. What you left for that one day? Talk about the Independent Commission for Peace and Cohesion. This was a TRC recommendation since the Civil War ended. Government don't go. Nobody no implementer, nothing can implementer. So you have to give him this. He cares about, because a vision very clear. It's a united, peaceful, and progressive Sierra Leone, where every Sierra Leonean is able to realize their fullest potentials.
All right. Quickly.
So, and the last one on Marcella, this government, would they listen alternative views. Like what you don't talk so, you say when I work with neck. If you have opinions, if you get something to do, if you want to support the governance process, the electoral reform, you go sit down with them and share with them, right? Marcella and what's the group name? New. Yeah.
Sabia?
No, I forget the group name. I forget. I'm only human.
Okay.
I'm only human.
All right.
I know many things, but I don't remember everything on the fly. So, no go sit down and arrogate himself the right for me a parallel ECSM. But more importantly, the conversation will happen. You have to like this country, if for nothing else, but for the informed discussions we get. I listened to one Professor Adam Steven and Andrew Lavalina studio. Then they say, look, the sample, you had about 11,000 polling stations across this country. They say you get about 770 something.
13,000.
Yeah, 13,000, polling stations across the country. You sample 700 and something. That is, it's even by the NDI standards, NDI that they introduced PVT, even by the standards, it's supposed to be, the sample size will be around 4,000. You do 700 and something. So, and they also raise issues about bias, selection bias, and all of that. Why did he choose it? So NEC has been challenged. Kindly publish this data, I allow interact with her. Is that asking for too much? That's not asking for an arm and a leg. Now, this is a make democracy grow. So I think she has to do that. Nobody not stop her traveling, I'm aware. Not a person of interest. We just want for deepening the Sierra Leonean conversation. If not to forsake this country ablaze, let them make the data open. The people that always have about data, let them look at. Sierra Leoneans are not short of that.
All right.
But when you stock dissent and post-election, you lay foundation for that violence, don't run away. Let's sit here and discuss it.
All right. Let's quickly go, move over to our studio 2 and join Suri Ibrahim Amara for bring we some of the messages the one that we follow on Facebook, we don't understand. We get hundreds of them tonight, but we will not be able to take all of them. Suri, good evening and welcome.
Yes, good evening, Samuel Wise Bangura. Some of the text messages or comments we don't get now the program this evening. The first one reads, this one say, if the politicians think that living with division is what they want, let them continue to divide themselves. But we, the ordinary citizens, will never divide ourselves because we don't receive salary like them. We don't sleep in government houses like them. We pay our taxes. We pay our rent. We buy fuel for our cars. That's why we are not going to support them to separate us, because we are suffering and they are enjoying, and they want to separate us. We will never accept separation, period. And this one comes from Swissman. Another one here reads, this one say, 81 MPs cut across all the districts in Sierra Leone, with the exemption of Bombali districts, which tells you how SLPP national applies across the country. Congratulations to President Bio. And this one comes from Ibrahim Jakima. Another one here reads, and this one is from Bure Kagbo. Rado, how can you expect someone to go to court when courts are not picking up cases promptly? 2018 elections results disputes, what has happened up till now? I believe our huge problem is the courts. Another one here reads, and this one is from Khalilu Hassan. We don't need peace-making platform. Now justice we need na salon. A lot of disenfranchised people all over the country. And the last message here reads, this one said, Lawyer Rashid, you just nail it all. Continue to talk in the interest of the masses. And this one comes from Ibrahim A. Koroma. And these are some of the comments or messages we have in our inbox this evening.
We get plenty hundreds on with page. Well, thank you very much, Suri Ibrahim Amara. And of course, some of the messages not help we at all because they are more political. We want messages that we go speak to the issues and how we go address the issues that we on the floor. So as we try for wrap up this conversation, Rashid, what's in you consider for be the way forward in all of the challenges we are fraught with?
Good, awesome. Because really, I care for. I don't really. I mean, I say I'm for like if it's possible, I'll see for the talk with
government rep. Yes.
Okay. Because all the time, Mr. If me, and they go appear like we say, me can't represent APC there.
No.
Disclaimer, I don't can't represent APC there.
Go ahead.
I mean, I'm a civil society activist. All right. Yes. Let's be clear about this. You see, I don't really commend this government for passing one of the most radical laws, laws them, and of course, eliminating also those draconian ones. So on record, when I analyze all from independence to now, President Biodun passed very good laws then, more than any president. That is just the truth. You cannot take it from him. For example, he abolished the death penalty, you take away the criminal libel law. These were very rubbish laws that we are killing many people in this country. And we know how many politicians elected law and they for them, harass people. So they passed the Jury Act, very important, the Employment Act, the many good things. So I'm on record to salute him for that. But I'm also on record to say in terms of implementation, there is a wide gap. And that is what we saw in the reality. So for example, if I give context to me, Minister, how much CSOs they also don't suffer a little under this government. I will name them. A few. Bassa Michaels, Thomas Mokonte, the head of Native Consortium. For example, these are a few give examples. Let you see how much. Thomas Mokonte was even charged to court for expressing a position on the right to education for the university.
Okay, sorry.
I beg you. So, what will they say now? Finding a way forward. We're not going to run away and defend again. If we defend ourselves, we're not making progress. We miss Sam. Just a minute. We miss Sam. We admit and then go back and change the narrative and do the right thing. So, at the end of the day, we came back and we addressed the issue of the university. When I transform, they say, pay the fees. You need for local finance or to get it down for county court finance, eventually the government agree and pay the fees. So, in good faith, when CSO can talk on something like that, so no one say and say na bad thing they want to do, nothing help you. All right, so that is something we have to address going forward. So passing good laws is nice, but also implementing same is very important. On the political front, a lot of politicians will see what's happening. Of course, for them very political views then where they express all the time invited at CID. These are the things we don't want to see. When politicians express their views, the next moment they are invited at CID, sometimes they are even detained, it's not a good environment. Because these people represent a lot of people as well. They'll be angry. And they will get annoyed, and some of them will not be able to do some stupid things. So we are saying, when they express it, they are politicians. Don't be too naive to just quickly rush and then have them called to CID and then locked up. And at the end of the day, they even release them without any charge. So what's not the problem on that? We see also the issue of somebody also where under this government, when they creep in aid, whilst in detention, before even in charge them. All right, so these are all the things and the human rights concerns we raised at the time. So let's accept them that they were excesses, and we move forward for reforms. Now, going forward, the Peace Commission gets a role for play. I agree with you. But not forget, say right now, they need for also build trust. Because I understand, and as my colleague here said, in the last meeting they were at the forefront, and they agreed on some roadmaps. Where those roadmaps agreed to or implemented, and what were their actions. So if one party go look and say, well, what did you do the last time? What do you want to do now? So now I say, they will say, all man lost to us in almost every institutions. And now it's difficult to even believe who will engineer this drive and make things happen. That's what I'm saying. The president gets a role for play in everything. To me, I don't want to even left until state institutions. It can be the driver. There's nothing wrong to do a walking visit to the APC office. I took this notice of what happened here. I want to see the extent of the damage as a first step to show that I'm concerned. We have to rule and rule well. You have the mantra. Left a legacy where tomorrow man will look back and clap for you. You may not like me, but I can tell you something that will help you going forward. All right. Secondly,
quickly,
the judiciary.
Yeah.
See that end of the judiciary, because it's very important that we understand that now the place where are they? Now the place where are value, because me a lawyer. But the judiciary has to work on trust. Today, we all perhaps, in a way, as elites will say, well, APC, the right thing about the courts. But let's also don't be blind to the reality that this court also don't frustrate them in many respects. And today they are afraid to go there. Let's be clear, they have many cases there that have not been filed. Many cases that are filed, we see the outcome. So now they have a trust issue. It's not correct. It's the right way to go. Despite, me don't tell in many opinion, and clearly what me personally say, look, even if you hate the court, as a lawyer, the first step to any electoral dispute for resolving now the court process. You don't need to like the court, but come there. But again, we have the issue of today, and this is a world problem. It's not even Sierra Leone alone. Even America today, the Supreme Court don't pass on very rubbish judgments then. We all man the Allah say, waiting they happen so. 3 judgments were passed recently by the Supreme Court of America. We disgrace themselves. Why? They are now political. 6 Republican judges, 3. So they don't care what will happen. They pass a judgment, doesn't know how it Samuel. A judgment on affirmative action. Say, it don't make any sense for like somebody applying at college. You consider in grace, you consider in color, you consider perhaps in poverty. It don't make any sense. The Supreme Court says so. So no question for look at black man issue now, waiting in the struggle, it don't make any sense. Secondly, they even talk about the issue of Biden rolling out free for the loan people to take loan for college. Biden said, can they forgive the debts? Supreme Court saying a nonsense. He has no right to do so. 40 million Americans who has taken debt as students, a parent say, I will forgive you. Right. See how much the judiciary get problem across the world. Mm-hmm. So our judiciary has to work on trust. Trust is key. Today, we all work for this case going to court. But the opposition is saying, I don't trust the justice system. We have been hurt by them. Let's face the reality. So now, internally, what can you do as an institution to gain trust? All this is also something was discussed. Okay. It's not correct not to go there, but also, are you working on trust as an institution? So this is my last word. I've said all these things in good faith. I love my nation. I'm not here to decry the SNDP government. They've done many things that are also good. And I've said that, I'm able to have said that. But where they failed, the people of Sierra Leone, I'm bold to say it. Because I mean well for my nation, and that's what I'm doing and continue to do till the day God called me home. That's my passion to serve my country in the human rights sector.
Abdul, what's your parting shot and how do we get things up?
Well, we can always say, in different ways, that Sierra Leone are the only country where we were born there. Mm-hmm. Some of we go tete, we come back, and we always want there. Mm-hmm. The politicians don't make this country don't look very toxic. And people them way, that then supporters them or the relatives that we rely on them for their survival, don't actually take away everything we call them human and do things the way they're unbelievable. And we don't normalize some of the abnormal things at this country. If we fix this country economy, the cohesion, the peaceful they holler about in the day. Within the young people, within people that need in this country, a job. When you get job creation, job opportunity, your family they able to live, in a dignified way. And we the human rights people, then that's our major concern. So, but you then a country where job security they're under threat, your human security they're under threat, and then politics becomes the order of the day. That even family they separate because of politics, and you see that say the only space for benefit, through government space. Like people like Rashid, rather than we don't work for the government of Sierra Leone, they can tell you that indeed, based on perception in this country, if you region political party as how we believe, not the origin setup of this party, but now we human believe say SLPP na a south and a eastern party, and APC na a north and half westerner party. So with that, people think say if APC they in power, the one that will come up from the south and the eastern province of this country, then job security they're under threat, meaning then home welfare they're under threat. And where APC they in power, where SLPP they in power, the one that will come on at the north or we get a northern name, then believe say then job security they under threat. So now President Bio and the administration for focus on how we they delete this mindset from Sierra Leone. How Solomon from the north, from the west, east, south, go able for believe say, even though I they disagree with SLPP, but I not for live in fear. I not for fear say I not go able for get a job. And then again, if the police or the security sector they watch me, too much emotions apply in the discharge of the work instead of applying professionalism. Several tensions. We still continue for suffer. Me not one activist we don't suffer from political arrest, intimidation, to the point they say I don't commit treason at this country, right? Yeah. Because I ask for a simple thing: accountability.
Now what have you done this?
Accountability. So you be there in this country for no.
But I'm look like say now.
Okay, quickly,
no,
please.
You will clear that for me. Since you are like,
go ahead.
So, police, security sector, therefore play their own role. In order for there to be peace and the cohesion where we want, the criminal justice system, not just bundle they all now, the police and also the courts, then get great role for play. And also, back to we the citizens, we get for respect law and order. We get for respect law and order. So with that, I think we were able to build a better Sierra Leone, a developed Sierra Leone, a progressive Sierra Leone.
All right, so Mr. Minister.
Help me now.
No, so you are the help.
Quickly, Mr. Minister.
I like one of them people that will send message say citizens are not going to support division. We really should resist that. Because when you wake up as a citizen in the morning, now for put bread and butter on the table, how for ensure so you can go school, how you go ensure so you go drag. So if we get insecurity, that's not going to happen. We're old enough, we know what that means. So I support that citizen. Even though they say, we don't buy petrol for they don't have government host then this, that. Well, so that I know they go this I don't know when last, I get government petrol. So I just sleep in my own house, or I bill really before I can have government. So Boko, the public servants, minister, and they were the same way. But that's the fact that we will resist division by politicians, we will resist incitement. His Excellency been talking in last state address before the declaration of results. Citizens then for say no to violence, the one that would incite for stop for incite, because this is the only country we have. I also want to thank you to that person who will give the message say the SLPP don't prove beyond all reasonable doubts that we not a truly national party. We want seats everywhere except Bombali. But we have never been lucky with Bombali. even when we won all the other local councils before under Pakabainza. You remember that, Rashid? Yeah, Bombali has always been a hard nut. But that's okay. So I want to congratulate all them people and they will win, and they for we. So somebody they talk about the justice system. You know, we know it's not doom and gloom. You know, this justice system did not start in 2018. We've always had it. You know, so where we can get issues with the police, for example, so I can tell my people there, I said, look, listen, I mean, we all want a police service where they deliver distinction services to we. But do they forget we say your individual and collective role in that? Now we say one day, all of us collectively as individuals. Now they say, but do you this boy looking at police lego, this boy not the award. You don't see this why several times you know they pass. So halaki. So why you do that? Or you expect somewhere they're going to go there overnight is going to be the best person? So let society always say they reflect small bit. We are doing our very best as government. Forget a 21st century police force who fit for purpose. Already the police get very highly educated people there. Now leadership across the ranks. So that means we are on the right track for builder. But always self as we point the fingers, let's spare some thoughts and get deep reflection. What has been our role in creating the institutions there? We don't talk about again, my friend, for create a situation, you and a lawyer, say there are clear procedures for the demonstration. You don't jump onto the streets in the name of populism for do. There are clear processes and procedures. So things have happened. You don't talk about, we not say everything.
You notify the police.
We not say everything, not to notify anymore. The reason, the rationale for notification, the police get logistical issues. Around the world, from the US down, when you notify that they give police for protecting, when they agree routing, if they're static, then they agree on this. So don't talk to us like we say no evidence here. Now they make it.
Thank you. All right.
Yeah. So my family.
Quickly, please.
This country, now the only country we all get. Well, for some of we in a local champion, I sure say, we get more local champions like me. Well, I don't know Rashid, I don't talk for you. Than the one that we get dual citizens or whatever. But whatever it is, anybody where they are, they only able to thrive in a peaceful environment. And already we don't begin the work of taking this country to the next higher level. Then factory they know they open very recently. The special industrial zone at Somu, where they are about for begin. And a lot more. Now the last cabinet we signed over 15-20 agreements for various factories and for start. All of that they know will start if we don't get peace and stability now. And one for target job creation, government for expand the revenue base for able to deliver on social services, and one for let this country continue to get respect around the world.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mohammed Rahman Swaray, Minister of Information and Communications. Thank you very much, Abdul Fatoma, Chief Executive Officer for Chadi. Plenty thank you to you, Rashid Dumbuya, lawyer, Executive Director for Legal Link. It's been a pleasure having all three of you here tonight, gentlemen. Thank you very much.